The Professional's Edge, how a work journal will help you get ahead. Welcome. If you've tuned in today, it's because you're looking for something more than just a productivity hack or a temporary boost in energy. You're looking for an edge, that subtle but powerful advantage that separates the people who are simply working from the professionals who are truly mastering their careers. The modern landscape is a cacophony of distractions. Every day, you are bombarded by notifications, competing priorities, and the crushing weight of an unfiltered workplace. It's why so many of us feel overwhelmed, moving at 100 miles an hour, but ultimately feeling as though we are standing still. Today, I want to introduce you to a strategic asset that will change that trajectory forever: the work journal. Think of this not as a hobby, and certainly not as a diary. This is a high-performance instrument for career acceleration. It is your guide to finding clarity, control, and security in your daily practice. But why does this matter? Because the difference between just working and mastering a daily practice dictates your entire career longevity. When you just work, you're a commodity, subject to the whims of the market. When you master a practice, you become an architect. This video will show you how to stop surviving the noise and start owning your output. It's about the shift from reactive scrambling to proactive mastery. Let's explore the internal drive that fuels this transformation. We all share a fundamental drive, the ambition to rise. It's a universally appealing concept because at its core, professional progress isn't just about a fancier title or a larger office. It translates directly into greater financial security and personal agency. It is the ability to dictate the terms of your life, to say yes to the opportunities that light you up and no to the ones that drain your soul. You know that feeling of being capable of so much more, but feeling stuck in the weeds? That's where the friction begins. Ambition is the fuel, but without a path, fuel just sits in the tank. We seek success because we want to create more control over our lives. We want to know that our effort is building towards something tangible, something that provides a safety net for our families and a platform for our ideas. But there's a gap between this high-level desire and the reality of Monday morning. Here is the psychological reality. The destination, that version of yourself that is successful, secure, and in command, is often crystal clear. You can see the peak of the mountain in your mind's eye, but the path? The path is a maze. The difficulty we face in our daily lives isn't usually the work itself. Most of us are talented, hardworking, and dedicated. The real problem comes from the ambiguity of the journey. It's the exhaustion of a calendar full of meetings that aren't your meetings. It's the frustration of knowing exactly where you want to go, but not knowing how to get there through the fog of 5 different people asking for your time simultaneously. Without a system, that high-level ambition quickly devolves into aimless scrambling. You aren't moving toward a goal, you're just reacting to the maze. This is the true barrier to success. When you are scrambling, you are a passenger in your own career, hoping that the momentum of the crowd carries you somewhere favorable. To exit the maze and find the professional's edge, you need more than just effort. You need a map that you draw yourself. To solve the chaos of the maze, we use a deceptively simple solution: a job-specific journal. This is a habit you can start immediately. It requires no expensive software, no complex training, and no perfect timing, yet it will radically alter your relationship with your work. The framework is built on 2 twin pillars that act as the strategic bookends of your professional life. We call this the one tool, 2 entries system. 1. Morning, plan, the anchor. 2. Evening, reflect, the release. Why this specific structure? Because the workplace is unfiltered. It's a chaotic stream of other people's demands, emotional baggage, and shifting deadlines. If you walk into that environment without your own filters, you will be consumed by it. These 2 entries act as a protective barrier for your mental health. They prevent your productivity from being dictated by the loudest voice in the room. By anchoring your intentions in the morning and releasing your pressure in the evening, you create a safe zone for your focus. You ensure that work stays in its lane, allowing you to be a high performer without sacrificing your sanity. The first entry is your morning anchor. The philosophy here is aggressive and necessary. You must define your intentions before the world defines them for you. If your first act of the day is checking email or Slack, you have already surrendered. Now you are playing defense, reacting to the needs and crises of others. To take the offensive, you must write your morning anchor first thing, before the laptop opens, before the coffee is even finished. This isn't a long-form essay, it's a tactical roadmap. You detail exactly what you would like to accomplish today. Not what you have to do, but what you intend to achieve to move the needle. This entry organizes your mind and prevents that mid-morning scrambling where you're trying to figure out what the next task should be. We all have limited time and limited cognitive energy. The morning anchor ensures that these precious resources are spent on the important bits. It gives you the clarity to look at a new, urgent request and realize it's actually a distraction. Why do we insist on bullet points? Because speed matters. The morning anchor isn't about being writerly, it's about being strategic. By keeping it brief, you remove the friction of starting. It becomes a ritual of focus rather than a chore of composition. When you write down your 3 important bits for the day, you are creating a mental filter. In the psychology of performance, this is called prioritized intent. You are essentially telling your brain, ignore the noise, these are the signals that matter. This filter is what allows a professional to remain calm when the office is in a state of panic. You know your roadmap, you have your anchor. This first entry is where you claim your agency. Think about the strategic value. If you spend just 5 minutes defining your day, you save hours of aimless wandering. It's the difference between being a reactive employee and a proactive leader. Even if you aren't in a leadership role yet, this practice builds the leadership muscle. You are managing yourself, which is the prerequisite for managing anything else. As you transition from the preparation of the morning into the execution phase of the workday, the morning anchor remains on your desk, a constant reminder of the promises you made to yourself before the noise began. Now, we must be realistic. No plan survives contact with the workday entirely unscathed. This is the phase we call navigating the day. It is the space where your pristine morning anchor meets the messy reality of technical failures, difficult clients, and human dynamics. It's vital to understand that the journal is not a rigid cage. It is not a failure if your day doesn't go exactly as you wrote it down at 8 a.m. In fact, that's almost guaranteed to happen. Instead, think of the journal as a compass. When a storm hits and you're blown off course, you don't throw the compass overboard in frustration. You use it to find your bearings again. The journal remains relevant throughout the day because it provides the baseline for recalibration. If you know where you were supposed to go, it is much easier to find your way back once the distraction has passed. It allows you to ask, given this new crisis, what is the next most important thing? But once the sun sets and the work is done, we need a different strategy to protect our personal lives. When the work is done, you must return to the page for the evening review. This is perhaps the most neglected part of the professional process, yet it is the most vital for long-term health and growth. Ideally, you write this at night after you have physically left the workspace or officially clocked out. This is the moment you transition from doing to processing. You are no longer the worker, you are the analyst. You ask yourself 2 fundamental high-impact questions. What went really well and what could have been better? This serves a dual purpose. First, it allows you to objectively review your accomplishments, which sets the stage for a successful morning anchor the following day. But more importantly, it facilitates the release. Writing out your feelings allows you to process the highs and lows of the day, a cheap form of therapy for the bad days. We've all had them, the days where nothing goes right and you feel like you're failing. If you don't write those feelings down, you carry them, you bring them to the dinner table, you take them to bed, you wake up with them the next morning. By putting these thoughts on paper, you create a psychological boundary. You are emptying the work thoughts into the journal so you don't have to carry the weight. Conversely, the journal is also a safe place to brag. In a professional world where humility is often expected, the journal is where you can acknowledge your wins without apology. This prevents burnout by creating a sense of completion. You process, you release, and then, and only then, can you truly relax and be present for your life outside of work. As the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months, your journal transforms. It is no longer just a daily tool, it becomes your history of progress. In the middle of a long project or a difficult quarter, we often feel like we're not moving. The daily grind obscures the big picture. In those moments of doubt, your journal serves as objective proof of what you have actually accomplished. It tracks the evolution of your thought process. It shows you not just the tasks you completed, but how your thinking and you as a professional developed along the way. This leads to the ultimate benefit: personal agency. Seeing the evolution of your thought process allows you to take ownership of your trajectory. You realize that you aren't just showing up, you are mastering your environment. Every step forward in your work, documented and reflected upon, is a step toward mastering your career. Every time you progress at work, you can create more control of your life. You are no longer a passenger watching the scenery go by. You are the pilot, documenting the flight and deciding the next destination. We have covered a lot today, but the core message is this: mastery is not difficult, it is simply disciplined. The pages of possibilities are sitting right in front of you, waiting for the first word. A work journal is not a complex system to master. It takes only a few minutes in the morning and a few minutes in the evening. Yet the cumulative impact on your career clarity, your mental security, and your professional edge is beyond measure. It is the absolute difference between aimless scrambling and strategic rising. It is the tool that transforms ambition into achievement. So, here is your direct command. Open your notebook. Don't wait for a better time, a more expensive pen, or a new year. Start your first entry tomorrow morning. Define your intentions. Anchor your day. You have the ambition to rise. Now you have the system to ensure you don't just scramble, you soar. The journal is the difference between being a passenger in your career and being the pilot. It's time to take the controls. Start writing. These are your pages of possibilities. Thanks for listening.